I'm David Baran, and I'm here with Baxter Hines, author of Digital Finance, Security Tokens, and Unlocking the Real Potential of Blockchain. Baxter comes from the traditional investment world, where he was a portfolio manager at NFJ in Dallas for over a decade before founding Honeycomb Digital Investments. Baxter has a degree in economics from the University of Virginia and an MBA from the University of Texas. Now, Baxter, before we start talking about the book, how did you get interested in this space?
I really caught the bug by looking into cryptocurrencies, and like everybody else, I'd read all the headlines around Bitcoin and Ethereum and saw the meteoric rise that they had in value. But that really wasn't it for me. I realized that the technology was something that was going to have massive effects on the financial industry. It was going to create an incredible transformation in the way that we manage securities. The programmable nature of the blockchain allows you to do all sorts of additional features that are far superior than what we get with paper-based securities. You can embed compliance into the security, you can automate all kinds of processes and cut costs. And so that was going to be adopted, and I just wanted to learn more and more about it.
So you learned a lot, you were a student, and you decided to become a teacher by authoring the book. Can you talk a little bit about the book, really just 2 sentences? What is the book about?
Sure. The real goal of the book was to create a general primer to educate people on why this technology was going to be really the next hot topic in finance, and why it was going to be important to anyone, and why they needed to understand what was going on in the space.
Now, your target audience, what are the categories of folks that you were focused on when you wrote this book?
Sure, it's really 3 broad categories of people. The first is it's going to be something for people who just have a general interest in this subject matter. The second is it's going to cater to people who are fiduciaries of other people's money, so financial advisors or people who are maybe on a board overseeing a pension plan, for example. There are a lot of questions amongst the general public about this space. Again, there have been very good returns, and people just generally want to know how to get involved. And so this book should help those people who are advising others, of what's going on in the space, and it should leave them with a good way to explain the topic. The third group that we're going after is issuers of securities themselves. There are a lot of people that want to learn how to issue securities in a better, faster, cheaper way, and this book should get them up the curve on that.
I'd like to talk a little bit more as to how you went about writing the book, writing about something that is technical by nature. When I think of blockchain, I think of nodes and words like hash and crypto, which is a little intimidating for folks that might not be familiar with the glossary. How did you go about writing a book like this so that folks could relate to it?
Sure, I thought about how people comprehend material and how I personally would tackle what seems like a very complex subject like this. And if I compare it to something else in life, let's take this, when you learn how to drive a car. There are all kinds of things that you can do to get up to speed before you have to go from point A to point B. You could look at the car under the hood, you could try and learn about the exhaust system, all that stuff, but it's really unnecessary. And the same thing goes with blockchain. If you've got a basic understanding of how the technology works, what it's used for, and what are some of the practical applications that can be utilized, that is a really good primer. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to really help the reader get up to speed on what is generally seen as an intimidating topic very quickly, and get people to understand things from the benefit side as opposed to the technical side. And so I did things like, I really wanted to make the content very easy to connect with. So I embedded a lot of real world examples, case studies, historical perspectives, so that the reader could really get a good adoption to the material.
So rather than learning about how to build a carburetor, it was more of how do you get in and go from point A to point B?
How do you turn the key on and really get the benefit of it instead?
So speaking of benefits, let's talk about what you describe in the book as end user benefits. What are some end user benefits of this technology?
Sure, so I really bucket the benefits into 2 broad categories. The first is around the cost side. So monetary cost savings, time, effort, energy savings. There are all kinds of ways that the digital wrapper, so to speak, can make a security much better, faster, and cheaper than what we're dealing with.
Cheaper for the end user, ultimately.
Exactly right. You're cutting out all kinds of intermediaries. You're lowering the time to settlement. You're creating much better record keeping, much easier to audit. That's one bucket. The other really exciting part about this new technology is the option for liquidity. So there are all kinds of assets, whether they're private securities like private equity, private debt, alternative investments, where there's a huge amount of cost to actually transferring the securities. And the blockchain, because your title is so much cleaner and because of sort of the digital rails that the securities put on, you can cut out a lot of that onerous type of stuff.
Really, so what we're talking about are putting real world assets or traditional assets that your typical investor is familiar with today on the blockchain to take advantage of these efficiencies and cost savings.
And the optionality for liquidity.
And the optionality for liquidity.
Exactly right.
Baxter, thanks for your time. We're looking forward to talking more about your book. Digital Finance is available now for pre-order online and will be released in November of 2020.